What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Kaiza-Sama, and we are back with another figure review video. And in today's video, we are taking a look at a childhood memory, a beloved figure that we OG Jurassic Park fans have been waiting forever for this moment to finally come. So without further ado, we're just gonna jump right into the video. We're gonna be taking a look at the Hammond Collection Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus figure. Yes, the figure is not in the box. He's already out of it. You know, your boy had to take it out, you know, give it a test run and see how all the joints and everything were, you know, the details and all that good stuff. But we're just going to take a quick look at the box. It does have some good size to it. I'd say it's probably about a little bit over 12 inches, probably around 15, 16 inches or so. But the figure itself is pretty big too, so I would, you know, just take that into consideration. But as you guys can see, this is the OG silhouette, you know, of that whole render from Spinosaurus 3. I said Spinosaurus 3. Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3. You know, if you were just around back in those days of, you know, the 2000s, and, you know, you experienced, you know, actually being able to watch Jurassic Park 3 within the theaters, and, you know, you just really got that all around experience of, you know, seeing the advertisements for it, you know, seeing the older figure boxes with the Velociraptors and all that stuff. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, you know, when you see that render of Spinosaurus. Classic, classic. Now, that's enough of the box. Get that description right there. It's talking about how it took down the T-Rex, and he's now taking the top predator position. So Spinosaurus is definitely the top predator on. As we hop into the figure, we're mainly just going to go over the details of the figure itself, as far as the articulation, and then we'll go into details as far as QC issues, if we have any. Then we'll talk about pricing. I have a comparison at the very end, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. Starting with the head, we do have the classic Hammond Collection. Is that like a gel or like a clear glass type of eye? It looks like a clear glass type of eye that they use. It's on the T-Rex too, and the Giganotosaurus. I don't have the T-Rex figure, so I can't really compare him. But as you can see, they do have that shape pretty accurate to the head when we see these Spinosaurs. So that is one thing that I do like, you know, that they actually took time to touch on those details. You know, they pretty much got the snout right. They got the shape of just that whole entire head correct. You know, it is basically like a one-on-one rendition, you know, of the render itself. It looks like they, you know, when they do these bigger carnivore Hammond Collection figures, I feel like they really take a look at, you know, the CGI models of them. They probably take a look at, you know, the animatronics, if there were any being used. And we know that Dominion, they did use some for the Giganotosaurus. But, you know, just going off of the whole concept movie-wise, they definitely take a look at those close details, and they make sure that they implement them into the figure. So we do, like I said, have that very accurate shape to the Spinosaurus head, because his dome does, you know, look like that when he's looking up at that crane, you know, in the raiding scene of JP3. You know, you can see his head, back of the head like that. So pretty accurate. He has the crest right here, goes right up over the eye. And I really like how they put, you know, different splotches of paint to really make it blend in right here. And you can just see the difference, you know, in the dots and different, you know, distinct areas like that. It's pretty much white on the bottom, and then it continues on the other side of the head. I'll show you guys the other side of the head in just a second, but we're just going to go ahead and open the mouth. Now you can get the mouth open probably about that much. That's like the, I guess like the first hinge right there. And then it does have a second level where the mouth opens up even wider. But this is probably, you know, where I'll have the mouth open majority of the time if I ever do pose them. Then you see that skin flap right there. Oh wow, this is my first time touching it, and it feels very soft. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it looks like real soft. It feels like almost like a wet rubber. That's interesting. I'll have to check my Giganotosaurus and see if he has that too. But the teeth, I did want to touch on the teeth. Now, these Hammond collection dinosaurs, as far as these bigger figures, I feel like they are taking more time with the teeth ever since the Giganotosaurus came out. Because the T-Rex, I feel like his teeth weren't done that well. So that was one tiny thing that kind of like hindered me from getting the T-Rex figure. But you can definitely tell with these teeth on the Spinosaurus that they are actual like separate teeth, you know, within this part that they actually inserted into the mouth. So you don't see anything that's like too blended in together. You know, there's no teeth that are like clumped up together or anything like that. Then you do get that opposable tongue, can move that around. Then you can open the mouth even wider like that. So that's the second hinge. Whenever he's just roaring super duper loud, make the tongue come up. So you get that. Pretty accurate, no QC issues. Yes, sir. So head is and you can close the mouth, yeah, of course. Just takes a little bit of maneuvering with these teeth. That kind of does a little snap right there. Head looks pretty on point. Then when you go down the neck area, you will have the second hinge for the neck right here. This hinge area allows the head to go back pretty good ways, allows him to look down pretty good ways. So he can look that far down, like he's looking at a human. And you do have that, you know, that coloration of the paint that does continue on both pieces. Just depends how you move it. So pretty good on the neck area. We do have the arms. They are on a shoulder swivel right here. Do they go 360? Do they go 360? Yeah, go 360. So you will have that hinge right there at the shoulder. It goes in and out. It might be a little stiff, so you might have to move it around a little bit. And you do have the elbow hinge right here. Goes up and down. And then you have the wrist hinge right there. And yes, the, I guess you want to call it the index claw. The index claw is bigger than the other claws, for anybody wondering. So, see that big claw right there with the accuracy. As far as we get to the sail and the mid-body, there's no type of articulation right here. Pretty much just one whole body piece from here to the beginning of the tail segment. Then as far as the sail, we can bend it down right here. And you pretty much just see the coloration with the sail. They pretty much went all in with the coloration. I saw some people trying to, you know, Photoshop the picture of the photo before anybody really got it in hands, and people were trying to complain about the sail colors. But now that I see it in hand, there's really nothing to complain about. I feel like the accuracy on it is pretty much damn near spot on. You know, as far as painting figures though, you guys just have to take into consideration that sometimes the material that they're painting on can sometimes make things come out a tad bit different than what they intend to. So that's where some things might get turned around as far as, you know, design wise. But pretty much the stripe coloring right here goes down here, and some brown coloring right here. I do remember on the 2000s Spinosaurus figure that I got for Christmas, it actually had a gold coloring right here too in the midsection of the body. So it looks like they kind of took hints from that, plus when you look at the body, it does have a little bit of a shine to it when you look at the Spinosaurus scales, you know, in JP3. So that is something I guess, you know, they were really just paying attention to. And when we get to the leg, you can turn the leg, not doing 360 with the leg. I just don't want to. I know some people want to do it just to see, you know, the density of the figure, you know, how well the figure stands up to time. Fuck it, we'll do it. We'll do it. I don't, that hurt me. I didn't want to do it. We're not doing that again. I did that for y'all. 360 at the thigh, then we have that knee movement right there. Now this is one thing I do wish they did with the Hammond Collection T-Rex. It was the teeth and the knees on the Hammond Collection T-Rex that I did not like. This looks a lot more smoother and a lot more cleaner as far as leg design and posability. With the T-Rex, it just kind of threw me off to the point where it was like, let me see if they do, you know, another wave of, you know, the T-Rex. So I'm gonna wait on the T-Rex. Like I said, the eBay prices on the Hammond Collection T-Rex are just freaking ridiculous right now. We'll talk about that though towards the end. And we do have the ankle piece right here, the lower shin piece of the leg combined with the ankle. You do have that ankle swivel right there. Now this is a QC issue. When I opened the box, there was this black paint on the left side of the foot. There is no black paint anywhere else on the figure. But when I looked at the foot, this was what I saw. So, you know, Mattel, y'all gotta look at that, you know, pay attention, do those finalizations before y'all publish and put all the figures out. But nothing to really complain about. It's not like somebody's just gonna be staring at the foot as if it's gonna cause a brain aneurysm or something. Then we do have the tail, very, very soft tail. You do have that wire in it. And then this is going to come detached when you first open the box. So just keep that in mind. You will just have to just click it on. But the tail can move down, can move left to right. So you can move it around, put it in different directions. Give it a little S curl. So you can really do anything with the tail, honestly. I would suggest when you're trying to stand it on like your dresser or your shelf though, I would probably just put it up in kind of like a high position to where your figure actually balances out and it can stand by itself. So just keep that in mind, you know, when you're posing the tail or you're posing the figure on the shelf or anything like that. You do have that very nice detail as far as the coloring going down the tail. A little bit of that white color splicing right there that blends in with that orange coming all the way down to that orange tip of the tail. So you do have a little bit of that gold coloring again, kind of mixing in to the browns, adding to that shininess, like I said, from the movie effects. Then you have that crocodile type scale design, the scoots that run along the tail. So I do like that. And they also have the crocodile scoots that run down the back of the neck too. So that is something that I really like. Now, I will say, as far as QC issues, the tip of the spine right here, you guys can see, I can still push that in a tad bit. So it's like, I don't think this is fully mended right there. So that is one thing that kind of throws me off. Not a huge deal. You know, I see when you look at the rest of the segment of the body, it looks completely segmented. You know, from the beginning to this end piece, it looks fine. And then when you get to the middle, it was like, okay, I kind of noticed a little bit of opening right there. So I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or if that's really a QC issue that, you know, that's something else that they're just going to have to look out for. But looking at the figure as a whole, pretty spectacular figure. Talking about the details, QC, issues or anything like that, you guys can drop your comments down below if you have this figure and you've had any issues with it. But so far for me, like I said, the little paint splotch on the foot and then the sail were pretty much the only QC issues. Everything else was pretty spot on. You know, design, the details, the coloring, you know, the nails being painted, everything like that, the eye, you know, everything about this figure is pretty much on point. They did a spectacular job on it. Now, as far as the size comparison, Giganotosaurus was my first Hammond collection figure. And then as we have Spinosaurus next to him, we now have the two top predators right here from the Jurassic franchise. So they're pretty much around the same height. Giganotosaurus has his little kind of like sail type spine on the back of his back. And then the Spinosaurus has his sail to where it kind of looks like, you know, with their just own natural features, they are just, you know, what they are. They are around the same height though. And then when you look at their feet are a tad bit different too. The Spinosaurus feet are a tad bit smaller, which I do wish that they made his feet a tad bit bigger. But that could just be an actual physical feature that the Spinosaurus just had, kind of like smaller feet than the T-Rex and the Giganotosaurus, but who really knows, you know? But yeah, good comparison right there. And I do have, let me see people can see the body. It's hard to really compare because these figures are so freaking big, dude. But there goes another view right there. Give you a little idea. You do have the Hammond collection JP3 Velociraptor. I got him a very long time ago when he first dropped, and I ended up getting one of the factory faulty ones. You know, his mouth is a little crooked right there, and I was hoping and praying that I wasn't gonna get one of these, but I had ordered it on Target. So, you know, when you order it online, you can't really control the outcome of it. But pretty much have him here to compare as well. He's probably just not too much. I thought he was going to be smaller, honestly, but he's really not that much smaller. Well, he's bigger than the other Velociraptors, you know, that come out from like the cheaper Mattel line. But yeah, that's how tall the Hammond collection Velociraptor stands up to the Spinosaurus. Now I do have his legs kind of propped up all the way, you know, as high as they can to actually just make him stand in general. But if you were to put his legs a tad bit lower and your joints on your figure work a little bit more, then he'll stand anywhere around there. So pretty accurate, you know, as far as just the sizing. And, you know, when they drop these figures and they make these bigger Hammond collection figures, it's important, you know, to the collectors to get figures that are actually, you know, size accurate as far as, you know, having a whole collection wise. So that is just something to keep in mind when we see the size comparisons. The price points, he did drop for $49.99. Yeah, it's a steep little 50, you know what I'm saying? For Giganotosaurus though, I got him in store at Target for I think around, what did I get him for? Like 34. So after tax, it was like almost 40. And literally they're the same size figure. You know, if not, Giganotosaurus probably has like a little bit more body on him. And I paid $34, almost $40 for him. This guy though was going out for $59.99. And I think it was just because of the name, you know, Jurassic Park 3, Spinosaurus, they're finally dropping it. Woo, woo, woo. Everybody's getting excited about it. And, you know, I will admit, I was pretty hyped for this figure. You know, I was one of the 2000s kids. Like I said in the beginning, I vividly remember going to see this movie in the movie theaters. And, you know, I left out thinking that Spinosaurus was my new favorite dinosaur. That was my favorite movie. My parents ended up getting me the toy line, like the whole you know, 3 toy line with the Velociraptor, the T-Rex, and the Spinosaurus. They got that for me for Christmas and the DVD. So I was hyped back then as a kid, man. That was just a time to be alive. But being, you know, like I said, with the hype, I feel like that's why the retail price is $59.99. Now, once you see this guy roll around on the aftermarket, that price is going to skyrocket. If you are seeing the Hammond Collection T-Rex going for like 120 right now, 140, 160, just imagine how much this bad boy is going for on the aftermarket once, you know, retail stores almost sell out. Just imagine. Just imagine. This shit is probably going to be on eBay for like $200, bro. I promise you. Those head scalpers out there on eBay want their money real bad, to the point where they're going to charge that price, bro. They're going to tax you. So just keep that in mind. As we finish up the video, pretty amazing figure. Really not too many gripes with them. I'll get them in a little swimming pose real quick to end it off. Not too many gripes with them. Pretty much a nail on the head project right here. Give him a little swimming pose. Yeah, man, this is definitely probably my top favorite figure in my whole collection. You know, when we get down to, like I said, the details is just everything. I really have nothing to really complain about with this figure, man. And then with the paint splotch on the feet, you know, that's something I can fix. And then even the sail, I feel like that's something that I can fix. I can probably just get, you know, a hammer and, you know, get something else to hold the other side and kind of like wham it together. But yeah, man, this figure is amazing. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the JP3 Spinosaurus. And without further ado, this is your boy Kaiza-Sama. We are signing out. I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys take care. Be easy. Peace.